But as far as what he has left to prove, well, let Russ tell you. Let's take a listen.
Do you feel like you have anything to prove?
No, I don't. I've been blessed and thankful to be able to be in this league so long and lucky to be able to play and be healthy. When I got drafted in the NBA, that was me proving people wrong. When I was able to go to college and get a degree, that was me proving people wrong. Not a degree, I wish I got a degree, but go to college, go to UCLA from the inner city, that was me proving people wrong. Just making it out the hood was proving people wrong. I don't need to do that anymore. I've been able to bless the people around me, my family, been able to impact people all across the world with this platform that's been given to me, and I'm continue to do that. And obviously we want to win the championship, but our ultimate goal is to make sure we use what we have to impact others around you.
Chris, what would a title with the Lakers do for Russ's legacy?
Well, you got to throw this out there first before you answer it. It depends partly, at least, on how he does it. All right? Is it really a big three? Is he getting his 20 points a game, getting a good number of rebounds and assists, and really being a third star with this team as they win the championship? A key point in why they won it. All right? If he does that, then obviously it's legacy changing. If he somehow becomes a role player, isn't playing late in games, and is really just the king of that second unit, then that's a different thing. Jason Kidd, yeah, it's nice that he has the ring he got in Dallas, but then didn't really change his legacy because he wasn't a star and a driving force at that point in his career. Gary Payton, Alonzo Mourning, we can go on down the line about stars who won later as role players and it didn't have a huge impact on their legacy. I don't expect that with Russ. I expect Russ, he's still in his prime, so I do expect it to be a legitimate big three and for him to play a big role. If he does that and they win, then it just erases the one question. It erases the one stain, the one yeah, but that is on his legacy, because he's done everything else, absolutely everything else you can do. So if he helps a team win a championship now, there's nothing else you can say about him, nothing negative. And now it's like, okay, how do we deny ranking this guy incredibly high among the all-time great players? Because he's done something that no one else in the history of the game has done with the 4 triple-double seasons. So if he puts a ring on that, then it's just huge for his legacy. I'm going to say this, though. Ultimately, the thing he's going to most be recognized for is the triple-doubles. Like, unless Luka or Jokic begin averaging triple-doubles and it becomes something that we start seeing here and there, 30, 40 years from now, we will be talking about Russell Westbrook, not for a championship he won with the Lakers, but for averaging a triple-double 4 seasons. Oscar Robertson, we first think about him averaging a triple-double, not that he won a championship late in his career, as still a very good player with Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The only way I think Westbrook overcomes, or usurps the legacy of being Mr. Triple-Double is if the Lakers were to win, say, back-to-back championships, or maybe 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3 championships, or something like that, where this team becomes a mini dynasty. Outside of that, his legacy is going to be Mr. Triple-Double. But if he has a championship with it, now there's nothing you can say, nothing negative at all, Joy. He will be a completely made man.
Championships change your legacy. They just do. This is what we're competing for. It's what you're playing for, is to win a championship, especially if you're a contender, especially if you're a high-level player. So to say that his legacy wouldn't be changed by winning a championship is just silly. Now, when it comes to Russell Westbrook, one of the big criticisms of him is that he is an incredibly great statistical player. He gives you 100% every night, but it doesn't necessarily translate into what? Championships. Now, I disagree with you, Chris, that if he is a role player, that it doesn't still matter, because I argue that role players are actually a significant part of championship teams, and they don't get the credit they deserve. Very often, if you go back and look through the championships and the stories of how teams win championships, yes, we always talk about the stars, but it's role players in key moments, the intangibles, the leadership when injuries happen, guys stepping up, that actually lead to the whole of the team winning a championship. So I don't think it would take anything away from his legacy if he wasn't necessarily a bona fide third star on this team, which I think he will be because he's still in his prime and he's still playing at that level. So I don't really know that that matters, but I would disagree on the role player part of it. It is going to change his legacy. Now, I like Russ's answer. He's right. There is more to life than all of this, and he has accomplished great things, and he has proven people wrong every step of his career, and that is exactly how he should look at it. And I don't ever question what Russ is going to bring to the court. We watch Russell Westbrook. One of the reasons why he is so endeared with fans is because he does show up every single night and give you 100% of his soul on the court, which I think he'll continue to do. Again, I don't think that this championship year or run for the Lakers this year is really about Russell Westbrook. I think it's about Anthony Davis. But at the beginning of the season, it is going to be interesting to see how his role fits in with the Lakers, how they balance all of this. And I think by the end of the season, they'll figure it out. But it is going to change his legacy. Winning a championship changes your legacy.
Yeah, listen, having something to prove and building your legacy are two different things. You can still be building your legacy even though you're playing with nothing really to prove. He's playing with house money by his own account. And I like his mentality and I like his approach as well because you know what? Russ is going to be Russ from what you can gather. And that's something that I've always appreciated about some of the greats. I will say this. A role player that has been an MVP of the league is different than just a role player that can hit a big shot. You know, I won't look at Robert Horry the same way that I look at Russell Westbrook if they win a championship and Russ isn't as big a part of it as he could have been. And the reason being is I expect more from what Russ has proven. Right. Than what I would expect. I would expect Robert Horry to be the one that's going to be there to hit that big shot. You know, you look at a guy like Ray Allen, who we you know, was a star, but wasn't an MVP level guy, ended up being a role player that, well, was there to hit big shots. So to me, I agree with both of you, right? I believe that you have to have the role players in play. And for this to be as talented a group and leadership heavy as it is with guys like LeBron and adding Carmelo, because Carmelo will probably have the least impact, but might be the biggest leader out of all of them that's in the locker room outside of LeBron, but could be even more so than what LeBron is. So if you know the relationship dynamics and the history between those guys. So to me, I think it's just going to be the blend of what they come up with chemistry-wise that's going to dictate how we look at Russ. And his legacy will undoubtedly be impacted positively if they win. But I think it's just going to – I don't think it's more so how little he does. To your point, Broussard, I think it's how the narrative of the season plays out. How will the story be told? What made Russ special to this championship run? It may not just be rooted in what his performance is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no negative to winning the championship. I mean, at the very least, it takes you off that list of all-time great players who never won. All right, so that's a positive. You're no longer on there with Karl Malone and Steve Nash and John Stockton and Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing and so on and so forth. So that's a positive. But there's no doubt there's a difference in how it impacts your legacy, whether you were a driver of the bus or a passenger. Dwight Howard's a prime example. I mean, Dwight Howard was one of the best 5 players in the league for 7, 8 to 10 years. Dwight Howard, by many people's aspirations, is going to be a Hall of Famer. But because he won that championship with the Lakers in the bubble, it's not like we're walking around saying, yeah, and he got a ring. I mean, he wasn't the driver. He played a key role, no doubt. but it didn't really change his legacy. Same thing, as I said, for Jason Kidd, for Gary Payton winning it in Miami. And Payton played a key role in those finals. But we don't look at Gary Payton like if he had led Seattle to the championship as to him being a role player off the bench doing it with Miami. And again, I think Russ will be a key factor and play well. But I'm just saying there's a difference